guys, it's Kate and I hope you're having a fabulous day. I'm here with my gouache palette. This is the ShinHan Professional Gouache and I've got a round brush here and I'm going to do a little bit of an experiment. This is a mixed media sketchbook, so it's got some thicker paper and it's pretty smooth. And I'm going to start by doing a base layer of some gouache here, but it's going to be kind of diluted. I have pre-mixed, not pre-mixed, but I've added a little bit of water here so that I can have some nice activated colors. But this is actually dried color from my palette, and I'm spreading it on very thinly so I can get kind of a transparent layer here. I'm going to be blending these together a bit with my brush, but just putting down a basic layer of color. I'm just kind of going in sort of randomly with the color, but not too dark. I just want a nice mix of some warm tones here, and I kind of like what I'm seeing so far. Now I'm trying not to do too much working because you can see the paper's pilling a little bit. This is just a cotton paper, or I'm sorry, this is just a cellulose paper, so you just have to be a little bit careful. But now we have a nice little messy background. I'm going to let this dry and then we're going to start our next layer. All right, our base layer is completely dry. I'm going to go back into my palette and I'm going to go into the burnt sienna. And I'm going to get a pretty decent brush load. And we're going to start by making a little pot. And this is much more concentrated gouache, so it's going to go down very opaque. And I'm just going to make a basic flower pot here. Let me get a little bit more water on my brush, just work that into the paint here, and I'm going to let it kind of show its transparency a little bit, but still maintain that rich color. Now I'm going to work on the top here. And then once I've got my shape in, I'm going to go back into my paint and I'm going to actually go into this black a little bit. I'm going to add just a little shadow here. And let's have our light coming from this side. So I'm just going to bring over some of this. And bring some down to the bottom. So we have a nice little shadow. And then I'm going to go into my white and get a little bit of that on my brush. And I'm going to mix just a little bit of this burnt sienna in with it. And I think I need even more white. And we'll make a little highlight there. Now I'm going to get the last little bit and just add a little bit over to the side. Now, if your paper gets a little bit too watery, you can always blot a little bit up with your brush. And I'm just going to soften those highlights there a bit too. Next, I'm going to go into my green. This is sort of like a viridian green. And get this nice and activated on my brush. And I'm going to start putting in some leaves. And so I'm going to come up here and bring it right down to my pot and go over that yellow and come right down to the base. And I want to make these a couple of different colors. I'm going to use that lighter green as well, but I'm going to start with this as kind of my base. And I'm going to make all sorts of different shapes because we're going to be able to layer over this as well. With that, if I'm going to let it dry first, I can get a couple of different tones here. I'm going to have a little leaf kind of coming up right here, just like that. And then maybe a little piece of one kind of poking up there, and one coming out from the side, maybe even one coming from this side too, and just going right off the page there. I think that looks pretty good. So while the top is drying, I'm going to go back into my paints, and I'm going to go into this orange again. Well, I can't remember if I put it on the background or not. And I'm going to give this a little base, a little table to sit on here. Now that the bottom of my pot is kind of dry, I can add some color without worrying about it bleeding. And I'm getting, again, a nice thick mix that's pretty opaque, unlike my base layer. I really like that combination of opacity over transparency, and I think the background is going to make this look a lot more vibrant. I'm really kind of feeling the bright colors today, so I'm kind of excited about this. While I've got this going, I'm just going to soften up these little shadow edges a little bit, and I think that looks a little bit better. So I'm going to let this completely dry again, and I will be back for the next layer. All right, our paper is dry, so we're ready for the next layer. Now this one, I want to do a nice green that is much lighter and warmed up. So I'm going to grab this lighter green color I've got here, and I'm just going to get it nice and activated, get my brush loaded. And I'm going to start over here because I left a little space here so that I could put in a leaf right here. And I'm just going around that edge. And I'm going to bring it right down back behind this other darker one. Then I'm going to come in here and bring up another leaf right in front of the dark one, just like that. And I'm going to come in for some more paint. And I'm just going to start layering in this paint so that we can get multiple layers of leaves here that look like they are layered very well. Now, since I'm going over that darker green here, I'm going to add a bit of a thicker coat so that it shows up a little bit better against that background. And then I'm going to add another sort of smaller one here in front of this other darker leaf. So we've got kind of a nice little pot building up. I'm going to add a tall one here and bring it all the way down. And I'm going to have it come behind this one. And I'm just going to let that fill in the bottom there. So we have a really nice little mix of leaves. Now I'm going to rinse my brush, and I am going to go into my yellow and get the yellow nice and activated. And I'm going to mix a little of this green with it. Just like that, so we get another shade here. And I'm going to come in again and start building in some more color. I want to get some nice bright green yellow here. So I'm going to put in a little piece there. And we're just building in those nice layers to get that plant looking nice and full. And we've got a nice little variety of green color here. I'm going to have another one kind of poking out behind this leaf here. And then maybe one right here. I'm just kind of looking here to see what else we've got. Maybe I'll have one coming out this way. And I think that looks pretty good. Now I'm going to do one more thing, and I'm going to go back into this darker Viridian, and I'm going to mix just a little bit of that burnt sienna so we get a really dark green here. And I'm going to go along the top of my pot and add in some shadows down here at the bottom. So I'm going to just sort of gently go through here. And we've got this dark leaf over here. I'm going to start adding in a little bit of extra shadow, just lightly. And this will give us some more texture too. But since we have our light coming from this side, I'm kind of adding a shadow to the left of these leaves. I'm going to mix just a little bit more and just keep adding it. I think that adds a lot of nice value there. The only spot that bothers me a little bit is this right here, so I just dabbed my brush and I'm just softening that spot just a little bit. This one here too, just to make it blend a little bit better. Now I'm going to let this dry completely again and we'll be back. So we're all dry and I got the tape off, and I really love how this looks. I just want to add a few little doodly marks with my black and white. So I have, actually, that one's out of ink. I have my 05 tip black fine liner, and I've got a number 10 white jelly roll. And so I'm just basically going to follow along with the shadows and highlights and just add some little marks. So where I have kind of my little highlighting done, I'm going to follow the curve of this pot, and I'm just going to add a few little lines here. I grabbed my Uniball. Hopefully this will work a little bit better. My jelly roll didn't really want to write, so this looks better. So I just added some extra white lines there, and I'm going to go on the right side of some of these leaves and just add some kind of broken lines for highlight. It's just going to add a little bit of texture, a little bit of fun, playfulness to this painting here, and it's going to just bring the leaves out even more to this sort of little doodly painting here. So this part is going to go pretty quickly, and I really like this effect that's happening now. It's just adding that little bit of brightness in here that we like. I think that looks pretty good. So I'm going to also add a little bit of texture down here on our little table area, just a little bit of white scribbles, and then I'm going to be done with that for right now. So now I'm just going to come in here with my black and do the same thing. And I'm going to get pretty dark over to the left. And just add these little marks. I'm going to get extra dark near the edge of the bottom here and kind of color in a little bit around where my pot is. Zoom in a little bit so you can see better. So here's the marks I've got on the bottom and in my pot. I am going to come into the leaves now and just do a little outline on the left side of these. And I really like how that looks. I think that just adds something kind of special to the painting, and it's still pretty simple, but I love how this turned out. So I'm going to lift it up and give you the close-up so you can see everything with that nice cloudy background and a nice little leafy pot with gouache. So I hope you enjoyed this video today. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more like this, make sure to subscribe. Thank you again for watching, and until next time, keep creating.